It's not a good etiquette to join a meeting. I mean, it's not a good etiquette, please. Put your proper name. You should not be ashamed of your name. Huh? Put your name so that we know who is here with us. 1 is 2, 3, 4, 8, 8, whatever. Whether it's your phone number, I don't know. Please remove it. Put your name. It's your name. We will recognize you by your name as a student. Otherwise, we think that you are not a student here. You are coming to steal lectures. Probably that is why you are disguising yourself. Please. All right, having said that, we are going to comment shortly. As you can see from the list of today, there are numerous things that need to be addressed. I have sent some slides, about 3 slides to your course rep, and is going to share them with you after the lectures. So what we are supposed to do now is to consider the issue of research. So this course is about ICT and research methods. But we're going to, this is a very important aspect, one of the most important. For those of you who don't attend lectures, please, this one is important. Your research makes a lot of difference. It is only, it's a 6 credit unit, just like 2, 3 credit courses. So it's a 6 credit course. And if you fail it, you fail out. It means you are going to repeat. So you will want to pass it. If you pass it sparingly, it will affect your CGPA so much so that you might not progress, in case you are thinking of that. So it is very important, and I want us all to pay attention to it. So research is one major thing we have to do. For master's degree at the University of Port Harcourt, it's called dissertation. For PhD, it is called thesis. I've also shared the guidelines. When you see thesis and dissertations, it's the same guidelines. Research is the same, both for PhD and for masters. The only difference now is the depth. The depth required of you at the PhD level is far more than what is required at the master's level. So at the master's level, it's called, I'm going to share slides, but let me give some background information. It's not everything I require slides to talk about, right? But those ones that I do not require slides, let me discuss them. After which I start sharing slides and we start learning. So university has a policy on dissertation for master's degrees. I'm going to send, in fact, I have sent the guidelines already to your course rep. That guideline is for both masters and PhD. I've told you the difference. The difference is the depth, this type of study design and all that. Yes, but every other thing is the same, right? So, for instance, one policy is that for the master's degree, the word count should not be less than 25,000 words. The word count, it should not be less than 25,000 words. For PhD is 50,000 words. For PhD is 50,000 words. For masters is 25,000 words, right? So PhD is far deeper. So that's a policy. Then when it comes to research, the university also has a policy, though they will tell you that much later when it comes to ethics, plagiarism and the rest of them. We have a policy that, of course, every research must pass through the university's anti-plagiarism committee. Every research, we have to submit it there. Just as we are going to also submit it to the ethics committee of the university. They will look at all this. So if a plagiarism software is run on it, for those of you who want to play smart by half, and it shows any value higher than 20, they will return it. That is for both AI and anti-plagiarism or plagiarism. Once it's more than 20, that's the policy. It will be returned to you to go and make amends, remove the either paraphrase, remove the offending things. If you paraphrase them out of context, it's going to be a big problem, right? If you paraphrase them out of context, it's going to be a big problem. So then the same thing for AI. It should not be more than 20%. So for those of you who over years discover that instead of students doing it themselves, they go and give it to contractors. And these contractors, of course, is for money, for profit. They try to get from as many students, and they go to the internet, they use software, they run through, and give to you to give to us, thinking that we will not know. No, we know. When we read it, we will know. Because there are no specifics. We know. Right? So please, it is in your best interest. Then if the AI or anti-plagiarism goes beyond 40, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. And we don't want anybody to get to that, please. So more so if you are giving it to somebody to do, you are not learning anything actually. You are not learning, you will always be dependent on that person. And that is it. You will always be dependent on that person. Right? So I had given an instruction that those who did not write their names on their devices should please write their names. This is the second time. When I come the third time, I will take you out. Right? Yeah, you just have to follow our rules and regulations, or we can't work together. We don't want you to have digits as your name. I will assume you are not our student. You are an imposter. Okay? So I've made that appeal to you. When you cannot, then out. I'll give you some more time. If that was the case, nobody will ask you to come and defend it. Defense means you are coming to present what you have worked on and respond to questions about it, how you came about it, how you did it, how you arrived at the conclusions, at their results and everything. the examiner want to make sure you carried out the work yourself, not that you contracted them out. If you contracted it out, they will know. If you contracted them out, people will know. So the examiner will want to make sure they are not contracted out. Okay, so you have to defend it, defend the work. The issue there is that at the defense, before, in fact, let me just let you know that when it comes to this aspect, it is that defense that actually says whether you have passed, you have your master's degree or not. And we, your lecturers, we have no say. We have no say or input whatsoever. We can only make any comment if the external examiner requires any from us. Otherwise, we are just seeing. We'll just be there and looking at you and the external examiner. We are there in order to listen to the comments of the external examiner and take note of his comments. That is why we are there in the first place. So the way you operate is this. Normally, we send the entire work to the examiner a month before the defense. A month before the defense. I don't know, say some people are complaining of what? Well, maybe they say some people are complaining they can't join the meeting. Well, maybe they reach out to the ICT. It's possible it's a network.
No, sir. It's not network, sir.
It's what?
It's capacity. The meeting has exceeded the capacity for participants.
With 190 persons?
Already in the meeting, but then the entire student number is up to 800. That is the issue.
No, it has been done, sir. It has been done, sir.
This link is also different from the one where we are.
It has been done, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, people are joining now. It has
Yes, sir. It has been rectified.
People are joining now. We have about 240 something now. Let me just check the.
I think it's going now. It's going now.
The most challenging aspect of our being here, if not the most challenging aspect. It is challenging to the students. It is also challenging to us, the lecturers. Because your number is large, we need to read a lot and all that. So it is very challenging. And for that reason, we want you to get it right. Many other things you can open the textbook and look through and figure out. But for research, it is not very easy to figure it out yourself. It is not very easy to figure it yourself. Right? You need guidance all the time. And that is why I want you to pay attention. Even for the very experienced persons, there are aspects they still find difficult. Then for the young ones or upcoming ones, a lot they find difficult. Right? So when we teach it like this, we encourage you to please pay a lot of attention. Pay a lot of attention to it. Right? Pay a lot of attention. All right, so I can now go on. Sorry for the what happened and people could not join early enough, but let me recap. Let me recap what I said earlier on. Okay. I said that University of Port Harcourt, for master's degree, the name of your research is a dissertation. If it is PhD, it is a thesis. The guidelines I have already sent to your course rep, and he has to distribute, share with everyone, and you have the guidelines, and you have to follow the guidelines very strictly. Any departure from the guidelines will not be accepted. So you follow the guidelines. Okay. Don't introduce yours. Follow the guidelines. As I said earlier on, this research has to go through the School of Graduate Studies, and you cannot graduate without following the guidelines. It goes through the quality assurance. So please follow their guidelines. Now, I also said that please, people should stop this AI sending me this. Just please listen and understand. This shortcut understanding is not the best in case you do not know. Listen and understand, internalize it, because too much of shortcut spoils everything. Please. So, they will go through quality assurance to make sure you fulfill all the requirements. For master's degree, the word count is 25,000, minimum word count. For a PhD, the minimum is 50,000 words. For the research title, University of Port Harcourt actually permits number of words of 14. But because of the nature of the type of studies we carry out, we have made a lot of advocacy to allow us exceed 14 words. So we can be permitted to get up to 17, 18 words. All right. So that's part of it. Another thing we are going to have is that when we are going to assign you supervisors. For MSc, one supervisor is sufficient. But for PhD, is minimum of 2 supervisors. If there are 3, maybe an industry supervisor, depending on the area, okay. But for masters, 1 supervisor is sufficient. And for a master's degree, the supervisor should have a minimum of, it should be somebody not lower than a senior lecturer. The same thing for a PhD. But because of sheer number, we've bent those rules so that lecturer one can supervise masters, right? Or not graduate assistants. Lecturer 2 can also supervise master. A PhD holder, fine, we can, allow that. That's about that. The relationship exists between the supervisor and the student, right? A relationship must be, and that relationship must be cordial. When it comes to higher degree, masters, especially PhD, to a limited extent, masters, it is advisable that the student should not expect the supervisor to do everything for him or her, because this is now adult education. The student must come to knowledge, will come to school with some form of knowledge. And these days we are very lucky that there are several outlets we can learn from. It is not possible for us to teach you everything. We'll try the best we can to teach you as much as possible based on our curriculum, right? But other things you can learn outside, we encourage you to do so. Okay. I'm going to, as I said earlier on, in the course of this lecture, I'm going to provide slides. Already I've positioned, I have 3 slides I have to make presentation. But what I'm saying now does not require slide presentation. So just listing about them. When it comes to slide presentation, I have slides. I've shared the slides already also with your course rep. And so he can now share with you so that you can read them. And I also encourage everyone to please read, please. I gave you people ebooks. I believe the course rep shared them. So this is the time you see sections about research and all that. Please read them. It will help you understand whatever we are teaching better. Read them. Don't depend on slides. Slides are just over summarized aspect of whatever, slides are over summarized, please. So don't depend on slides. It's deceptive. If you ask questions, you will not be able to answer, right, with slides. So I'm appealing to you to cultivate that habit of reading. It will help you to be a professional. Very show some level of seriousness or capacity. Okay. So a relationship between you, the supervisee, and the supervisor exists. We encourage that relationship to be cordial. Even the Bible says, can 2 work together except they agree? Being a supervisor for many years, I know that one of the things that don't go down too well with supervisors is when your supervisor has asked you to do this, do that, and you are not doing it. It's like he's wasting his time. And time is of essence in life generally. Nobody wants to waste his time. Okay. Another thing I will encourage everybody to do, substantially this we are doing is online. Online. You cannot come to do online because when you don't have a laptop. A lot of you use phones. The phones are limited. They have limitations. You should have a laptop. I mean, you can buy a used one. I don't even see you trying to practice public health without a laptop. Public health is full of presentation, reports writing, presentation. That is how public health is. Without a laptop, you can't practice it. So it's best you begin to rehearse. Now, for those of you who are already in the public health space, you will relate with what I'm saying. So when you are not using a laptop, you are not doing good to yourself. Try and get one. I know things are hard, but this is something you are going to use for your profession. So try and get a laptop. It's very important. And when you get a laptop, you need to familiarize yourself with some of the things we do. For instance, when I want to make corrections for you, I will use track changes so that you will understand. It's a way of also teaching you what is wrong and what is right. But if I just make those corrections without making either comment or putting track changes to see what was changed and what was inserted, you will not learn. You will not even know that I made changes, right? So I've supervised many students that I will do something using track changes. They still leave it there because they don't know what to do. So be familiar with how to use these basic tools, these basic programs in your Word document. The same thing for PowerPoint. We make presentations. Learn how to make PowerPoint presentations. We cannot teach you that. Learn on your own privately. Look for someone else to teach you how to make PowerPoint presentation. To share your slides, put it on slideshow so that everybody will see it. Learn how to create slides and the rest of them. These are basic things you need to do to be successful in this course. Otherwise, it's a requirement for you to be enrolled in this in the first place. So please, right? Then when you are working with your supervisors, because it is really very laborious to sit down and begin to read 10, 15, 20 projects, because your supervisors also have life. After work in the morning, you come in the evening, you are giving lectures, and after lectures, when do you have time? Maybe I've been ever since morning, maybe I finish by 8 o'clock or 8:30. Then I go back to my library, begin to read projects. You want to kill me? It's not possible. So an easier way out, which we have figured out, is we are going to create research groups. We are going to create you people in research groups assigned to supervisors so that there will be some form of hands-on. Apart from what we give you in general lectures like this, with your research group, in your research groups, you will now be having some further training as we go by, further guidance in each research group, because we are going to assign you to supervisors and we'll be having those research seminars, right? We're going to have them. So for me, as an individual, a preference for me is I can view your research if it is presented to me and tell you this is right, this is wrong, this is right, changes like this, change. It's easier for me than to sit down and begin to read and read and read. I mean, it gives backache, waist pain, even at our age. So please, let us also help ourselves and help our supervisors. Because you know, at the end of the day, you are the one that is looking for the master's degree. You are the one. It's not your supervisor. All right. Now, so you need to have a cordial relationship with your supervisors. Ask questions. It's a time of learning. Ask questions. Read. I can give you more books on research. Read. Ask questions. Now, choice of research topic. I'm going to make a presentation on that for you. All right. Then on the research proposal, I saw somewhere at the end of this course, towards the end, there is a step-by-step guide for research proposal. So I'm going to skip that. If I go into that now, there are many things you will not understand because we have not done them in the body of the, so that is why it's kept last. Then for proposal defense, first, you are going to defend your proposal. We are going to schedule you. You will make a presentation, a 10 minutes presentation, and we make corrections on the proposals. Having made the corrections, you are going to effect the corrections, and we give you a form for ethical application for ethical clearance. You will populate it using information from that proposal you have done. And we send it to the ethics committee. The ethics committee will vet them and make their comment on them. But we are not too bothered about that because most of the research work we are doing are not usual. They are not, they do not, how to say, they do not offend any ethical principles. They do not. They do not at all. They do not. Somebody says, can't see my screen. There is no screen. I'm not making any presentation yet. I will do it, but not immediately. After this opening, I will now make the presentation. So we are going to make a proposal defense. And immediately we did the proposal defense, you have to commence your work. Want to make sure that we will do lectures maybe Monday to Wednesday or thereabout. Then you have Thursday and Friday working on your research. Working on your research. Mind you, your program is a 1 year. Yes, it's a 1 year program. So you take your lectures the first days of the week. Towards the end, on the weekend, you use it for your research. Don't go and play or do anything else. Use it for your research. So that by the time we are getting done with our didactic lectures, your research is almost ready and graduation becomes simpler. We don't want a situation whereby you are here for 2 years because of all these delays. I believe you too will not want that. So for that reason, I will encourage everyone to please get serious, especially with research. Okay? All right. Having said that, let me start now by sharing my slides so that we now go into some of other things I had planned for today. Let's start with choosing a research topic. Choosing a research topic. All right? Choosing a research topic. All right. I believe you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Choosing the research is all right. Thank you. Choosing a research topic. Research is about identifying where a gap, either a gap in knowledge, a gap in practice, or even policy exists. Then when you have seen that problem, that gap, then you are going to carry out a research to fill that gap. Research is about problem solving, and no society develops without research. Every society develops through research. Many years back, it's not too many years, even chloroquine, I believe all of you remembers chloroquine. Is it still much in use anymore today? Is it even in use? The answer is no. And the question is why? Research has shown that maybe there's drug resistance following use of chloroquine, one, or cure rate is lower, two, or a better drug, less side effect, more tolerable is discovered. So that is it. Research provides room for improvement. Any science, once it's going to higher learning, once you're exceeding BSc to masters to PhD, majority of the job is now on research. It's not on just textbook, and those ones are basic. What distinguishes you from any other person who went to school is your ability to conduct research, because no society develops, nothing improves without research. And that is why medical practice, engineering, even social, just mention it. Research is key for development of society. The cars our parents used in the 40s and 50s, we can see that we can't even sit in those cars today. Why? Research found more comfortable, faster cars, more durable, and things like that. So that is about that. Now, unfortunately, this aspect is what people find most difficult. Yeah, it is difficult. I won't say it's that easy. Okay, for me, it's not difficult. It might be more difficult for you because you are just coming. For me, it's nothing difficult about that. I'm used to it for over 30 years plus, right? But for you, it can be more challenging, but not to worry. Gradual. But where the challenge, the problem is when you don't want to apply yourself. You rather give it out and rather go and look for money to give to somebody. Then you've learned nothing. Okay, then you've learned nothing. You have missed that core. You have missed it. All right. Now, choosing a research topic for your dissertation. It is most important for you to start looking around your environment. As a human, there are certain things you think is not going well, and you want to find out why is this so, right? So your immediate environment, research can start identifying needs. You know, we say that if you want to make money, identify something which people need. If you identify something which people need and you're able to provide that need, you make money. That is true. So for research, you must look at around the environment. At times, it is difficult. Good Scholar, PubMed, AJOL, that's African Journal Online. Hineri, you know, these are databases. Go to them and read articles in the area of your interest. In that area of your interest, you will see innovation in our school. Maybe the ICT, my deputy, who is in charge of ICT, will elaborate on that, okay, when he talks with you, so that we can see how you can scan your work before it goes for final, before it goes to anti-plagiarism committee. But if you find something very unusual there, you are in trouble. So you are going to read journals, read systematic reviews and meta-analysis, research done. You will see gaps. And when you identify gaps, what was done here, what was done here, you will see where there are conflicts or insufficient data. Right? So when you see all that, those are the things. Okay, sometimes you can read certain articles. At the end, they will say suggestions for further research. It means that not much has been done in those areas. And if it's current, you can take advantage of that. Those people who can't hear me, I'm sure it might be from your end, though. Maybe you need to do something about it. It might not be my end. I'm not sure. Okay. So that is it. So you are advised to read journal articles. These days, it is very easy to do so. Even on your phone, you can. Your laptop, you buy data and run. When you are reading, a very important aspect, which I think you need to do, which I suggest to all of you, is please change your position. Those people who can't hear me, I don't think it's from my own end. Change your position or your device. That person who is making so much noise there, after you say you came to school, Abi, all right? So, what's your name now? Please, everybody unmute yourself. When we are done, you can mute or you can unmute and ask questions. So go to studies that have been done. It will be studies done elsewhere, not even in our area, Then you can see how you can localize it in our environment to make it easier for you. Don't sit by and try to figure it by thinking. It is more difficult that way. In research is not about studying everything at the same time. You have to narrow it to just a specific thing, narrow it down to something that is manageable, right? Please. Then, when you have research ideas, you can discuss them with your friends, your colleagues, your supervisors. There is nothing wrong with that. Friends, colleagues, some could be experienced. We try to learn from every avenue. It's not only a supervisor that can teach you something. No, that's a very wrong assumption. So you can learn from colleagues, you can learn from supervisors. You can learn from reading yourself, figuring it out, reading. Even YouTube, you can use it to learn various aspects. You can. There are many lecturers who, who create, make presentations, which you can learn. Okay. Then, I've mentioned that extensive literature review, very important, so that you can identify gaps. You can see research problems that exist. Be flexible each time, because research work, even by the time you are done, if maybe you see that what you are actually done, you've seen that what you are actually done do not align with your topic, then you are permitted to make some adjustment at the topic to properly reflect with what you have done, because it happens that way. And it's good to stay up to date with information on that subject matter, because I have been in final defense that an assessor will ask a student, okay, yeah, you have been working in this over the past 2 years, 3 years, although that was the PhD student, say yes. Recently, there are recent studies that suggested this. Are you aware? And the candidate said, of course, no. And the man felt that you should. It's good to be up and doing, right? It's good to be up and doing. Then when you're doing research, it's good to answer these questions. Why, who, what, where, when. Why do you choose this topic? What is interesting about it? What research gap is it about to fill? If you have something that is interesting, you are likely to conclude it with enthusiasm. That is why we don't like when students say, sir, give me a topic. When you get stuck with it, the next is this supervisor that gave me this topic? I didn't want. Frustration has started. It was you who was requiring for the topic. So figure it out yourself. It is your work. Don't ever, in their defense, say, oh, it is my supervisor that is. Please know that the person who is examining you is a lecturer. Also, it is considered that it's only very unserious people who, not take accountability, try to, gaslight that, oh, I would have done it well if not that supervisor said this. No, that gaslighting is not, that he sees you want to condemn his colleague and that he sees you that, yeah, so you can be in problem. Understand every bit of your research because questions can come from anywhere. As I said earlier on, we are only to be seen. Look at it this way. We are like preparing you for an external exam. The way secondary school prepares students to go and write WAEC or NECO. That is what we are doing. We are not your examiners. We have no input. We won't set any, we are not your examiners. For this, your examiner is the external assessor coming from another university. But I must assure you that their mission is not to come and fail you. No. We bring them. Because we bring them, we know them. We know those who are favorable to our cause. We know those who you can, relate well with. So please. Then when you choose a research topic, a very pertinent question you ask yourself is that who will provide you the information you need to carry out that work? Who will provide that information? If assuming you are working in the hospital and you want who is going to be from hospital records, it's good you find out in advance whether such records will be made available to you. It's not when you have gone 6 months into it, then only for you to see that such record does not exist or they cannot grant you access to it. It means you did not do a thorough work before you commenced. So when you go and you know that the record cannot be available to you, you move on to another topic because it's not by force. You move on, right? So where are you going to get that? This thing is very important. Who will provide it? Then, what is the major research question? Is there a debate about the topic? Are there a range of viewpoints? Right? Please, very important. That's talking about the problem statement. Every research has a problem statement. Without a problem statement, there will not be research. As I said earlier on, the aim of research is to solve problem. So in order to bring out or clearly define their problem statement, you must state that problem in terms of the magnitude of that problem, as well as the effect of that problem on society, maybe the public health consequences or the public health effect of that problem, because that is what will make it compelling for anybody to say, yeah, this thing deserves attention, right? So you must know where this topic, is it at the balance? Who are all these people disturbing now? And you are supposed to be in this class, so now you are there playing. Okay, tomorrow we'll ask you a question, you will begin to complain to everyone. They purposely. Who is this village person self now? So that is that. So please take it very seriously. Then always also try to know some research is about period. Maybe work has been done in that area in the past. A lot of time has gone. We want to see if there has been an improvement or not. Or we want to look at trend. Maybe in the past 10 years, we want to see if TB has been declining or if TB has been on the increase. We are all these ones now. Okay, I think the best thing is to mute everybody now. So let's go ahead and mute everyone. All right, so, okay. So as I said, it is important that you know the time. Some research out in the past. And as they say, a lot of water has passed under the bridge. We want to see if what existed previously still persists. We want to see if, as I also said, if maybe TB has been on the increase or on the decline over time. We want to see vaccine preventable diseases is been declining, or you want to see if immunization coverage rates is increasing. So these are things you want to know. It can be dependent on time. Or maybe you want to compare notes with what happened if you want to do a comparative study. You want to compare, okay, maybe what is rural, urban prevalence rates and why there are differences. Okay. So finally, for a more attractive and sustainable research, the strength of evidence is very important. We call it the hierarchy of evidence. The higher the hierarchy, the better the research value. Okay, the better the research value. Now, this is the hierarchy of research evidence. The gold standard for research is randomized controlled trial or randomized clinical trial, RCTs. They are the gold standards, the experimental studies. Then coming down to cohort studies, coming down to sorry, let me just, Paul is trying to disrupt my listen. 1 minute, please. So sorry about that. I was having a call from me. Okay, so that is that. The hierarchy of research evidence, as I was saying, at the lowest level in terms of research is when you have people's opinions, editorials, and anecdotes and all that. Then those are the main things. My network was having issues. All right, so that is that. Okay, so please just hold on. At the end of the lectures, I will permit you to all ask questions. But for now, please bear with me. If we begin to take questions now, we might not finish. Just hold on, all right? So let me share my second presentation. Don't worry, if you don't get what I said about the pyramid, leave it. You will not even understand it now. Later, it will make sense to you. Because I presented the pyramid and I said the gold standard is at the peak. That's randomized controls trials. Please be patient, be patient, be patient. Be patient. Don't jump the gun. So now let me go to the other aspect. And the other aspect is about research ethics. Okay, research ethics. Here, I'm going to make quite a few comments before I'm sure, can you see you can see my screen, right? Okay, not yet. I'm going to make a few this for you. Okay, just be patient. Let me make a few comments about research ethics. Just like every other aspect of ethics, ethics is very important in research. Ethics is very important in research. And we ensure that issues of ethics are not taken lightly because the society must be protected. Otherwise, people can even do experiment on others. And that is very wrong. So ethical principles are very much necessary in carrying out research. We want to make sure that nobody is hurt in the process. Nobody is discriminated against in the process. Everybody is given equal opportunity, right? Respectfully. People's dignity are respected. People's dignity are respected in the course of carrying out research. Nobody should be used as a guinea pig. So ethics is very important, right? So for that reason, when it comes to research, we need to be very cautious about what we do. Okay, we need to be very cautious about what we do. So let me share my slides on ethics. Okay, on ethical principles. Wow. No, what's happening? Sorry, let me share again. I believe you can see my screen now. Can you? Okay, I believe you can. If you can, just say put yes on the chat box. Let me just make sure you can. All right, great. It's okay. Now, ethical principles in healthcare research. Ethical principles. Now, the ethical principles in healthcare research protects the rights of individuals, maximizes the study benefits, and maintains scientific integrity. So that is why these principles prevent exploitations of humans, and prevents exploitation by balancing the quest or pursuit of medical knowledge and human welfare. You see, we make sure there's a balance. While we are trying to seek for knowledge, we want to make sure that nobody's hurt. Nobody's dignity or reputation is hurt in the process. These ethical principles have been enshrined in documents like the National Institute of Health of United Kingdom, their guidelines, the Belmont Report, then World Medical Association's Helsinki Declaration, and more. Ethics in bioethics goes beyond that. It's not, but our concentration is in healthcare. In the environment, there are more. The Kyoto Protocol and several other protocols, right? So here, ethics has core principles. A major one is autonomy, respect for human autonomy. And autonomy means somebody has the right to say, I want this or not. You might want to examine somebody, maybe if you're a clinician, and the person has the right to say, don't examine me. No matter how important your ideas or what you want to do, in as much as the person says, stop, please stop. Because the person has right to his or her body. The person has rights and choices over his life or not, or body. That is why it's very important. Okay, you cannot force anybody against his will, except you can prove that that person is taking that decision because everything is not well coordinated. That is where you bring in a significant order, or where the person is a minor and cannot make a reasonable decision for him or herself. A significant order can come in, right? So ethics is important. That is why, for instance, going to touch person without authorization is regarded as battery. You have battered that person. It's regarded as battery. For somebody touching you might think it's a joke, playfully. You are going to touch somebody without authorization. It's not a good habit. In where people know their rights, it might not all go well for you. So that's about respect for people's autonomy. For those of you who are clinicians, before you examine somebody, you must ask. You tell the person, I want to examine your abdomen for me to figure out where this pain or whatever is going. Do you permit? The person say yes. Then you have the consent. You have the approval. Because that approval can be verbal. It can be written. There is what we call implied. But at times implied is not sufficient. Implied, for instance, somebody is sick in his or her house and the person comes to the hospital for treatment. That is an implied consent. For coming to the hospital, the person has consented that some form of intervention be made for him or her. But that is not sufficient to go and carry out surgery without further consent. So it's good we have to be cautious. There are some verbal consent is not sufficient. It must be written. So respect for autonomy, respect for the person's body, for the human to respond to you the way he or she wants. Fine. The next one is beneficence. Beneficence is whatever you are doing, it should be in your patient or participant's best interest. What will benefit that person, right? That is beneficence. Whatever your actions are should be intended for the benefit of the people, of those people you are relating with. Then the next one is null malfeasance. Beneficence, null malfeasance. You see, these are real pillars: autonomy, beneficence, null malfeasance. Null malfeasance is said, one, do no harm. Do no harm. Whatever your intentions, whatever study you're trying to carry out, please do no harm. That is null malfeasance. It enforces the primary direct medical directive of first, do no harm, by minimizing risk and burdens. So anything you want to do that will increase the risk for an individual, instead, do not do. Right? Don't put people's this in at risk. So, autonomy, beneficence, non-malfeasance, then justice and equity, fairness. Whatever you are doing, not only do you feel that it is fair yourself, the people should attest to the fact that it is fair. Right? Justice is talking about fairness. Equity, right? Yes. Equity is trying to make sure that people who do not, who from their background are not equally placed based on their background, all have right sense of belonging, so that people are not discriminated against because of their vulnerability, either because they are poor, therefore you don't include them in their study, or you think that because they are ignorant, right, and you come to carry out a study and you ignore them, they feel bad that they are ignored. Okay, so justice, please. These are pillars of equity. Then, in terms of their practical application in practice, a major one is informed consent. Informed consent. As I said, this informed consent can be verbal, it can be written, right? So, to satisfy the principle of autonomy, investigators must secure voluntary, explicit, fully comprehension-based consent. You can understand English. One, that's what you want to do must be voluntary. Participation in study must be voluntary. If somebody decides not to participate, all well and good. It's not by force. Participation must be voluntary. Okay? And before you go to make someone participate in a study or not, the person must have full, explicit comprehension. That is, the person must understand what you want to do, what your intentions are. You will explain to the person why you want to do this study, why it is going to be beneficial to the society, which includes the person or future generation going forward in our national life, whatever, in our healthcare. That is why you are doing this study. And this is the type of study this is study. If there are any risks involved, you have to explain those risks. For instance, you want to go and measure blood sugar, which means in that case, you want to do a needle prick to collect blood sample. Every risk involved must be explained to the person, after which the person will be asked whether he or not will want to participate or not. Even at that, the person must be told that the person has right to pull out from the study at any point in time the person wishes, without any consequences or reprimands. It's not because the person pulled out, therefore won't allow him to come to class again. The person pulled out, therefore the small pay we used to pay him before won't pay him again. Already that is now being punitive, right? It has to be one, transparent. Participants must receive detailed timelines, procedure, overview, everything, side effect. If it is why you are doing randomized control trial or clinical trial, if there are any side effects, they must know so that they will make informed decision. Otherwise, if you're a practitioner, you can be convicted clearly. In fact, they won't even take you to law courts to convict you if you're a doctor. We have our own tribunal, medical and dental tribunal. It has the powers of a full law court, of a high court. They will convict you even to prison time, withdraw your license and all that. It's been done. I've seen many happen. Unethical practices, right? Unethical practices. Very important. If you are going to talk to somebody of opposite sex, it is best to have a chaperone. It's best to have somebody, a chaperone, around who witnesses the discussion. These things are open. There is nothing hidden about it. If you are going to talk to adolescents, it means their parents must be there. They must have consent of their parents. They must have consent. Okay? Then it has to be transparent. It has to be voluntary. No coercion. Nobody should be any backhand business. Okay, well, let us participate. If not, if we don't participate, they won't pay us this month. Already that is, I'm twisting. Okay? The same thing in terms of financial incentives. Although research permits that, maybe the way they participate, you can give some token or whatever. It is advisable that such things should never be in financial terms. Maybe after doing whatever you deal with them, you like the way they were, you can decide to give them a gift. Maybe you give them one handkerchief. Not give them 1,000 to buy a handkerchief. No. Okay, so things like that. For instance, if you want to do a study, say for a quasi-experimental study, where you are using two groups, you want to teach one group something and don't teach the other group. And after about 6 months, you want to see whether those things you taught them, they are still practicing it and it's improving their life. You see, you taught one group and didn't teach the other group. Haven't collected all the results you want after 6 months. It behoves on you now to go back to that group you didn't teach, to go and teach the same thing, so that it doesn't appear that you just used them and dumped them. Right? So these are ethical principles. Yeah. So also make sure that vulnerable groups are not discriminated against. You know what I incapacitated patient, people with form of one disability or the other. All right. Young people don't take advantage of their youth, of their weak knowledge, or poor knowledge over something. Or people incarcerated, prisoners, because they lost dignity. Therefore, you take advantage of them. It's against ethical. Apart from informed consent, the next one is the risk-benefit assessment. This one is grounded in the balance between beneficence. Beneficence is do good. Non-malfeasance is do no harm. Beneficence is make sure whatever you are doing is for good. Is for good. So studies must possess distinct and social utility. So studies should have beneficial intentions. Beneficial intentions. Beneficial intentions. Right? Then, if it is in terms of, if in clinical setting, it should be something, the outcome would benefit clinical practice. Then, your study should make sure it has scientific validity. Scientific validity means that the results are valid. And what makes a result to be valid? There are a few points. For instance, the sample size with which that study was conducted was sufficient. The minimum sample size was sufficient when calculated. Then the procedures used were very scientific in terms of the sampling and all that. No bias, no confounders. These ones, I won't go detail, but you will understand what I mean by when we study, we are going to study, incidentally, I saw it's me who is going to teach it, bias and confounders in research. It can skew the research in one direction and your conclusion will be wrong. Your conclusion will be wrong. For instance, let me just give an example of confounders. You are looking at doing a study, and the intention of your study is to see if sedentary lifestyle, that is people staying in one place all the time, has effect on cardiovascular system. It leads to cardiovascular diseases. That is people sedentary lifestyle or adynamia, lack of physical activity. Okay, yeah, that's a smaller word. When somebody lacks physical activity, you want to see whether when somebody is not doing any form of physical activity, it has effect on developing cardiovascular diseases. That is intention. And now you are going to carry out this study. And look at the people among you are going to carry out this study. Elderly people. And you know that age by itself alone has effect on cardiovascular diseases. As people age, tendency of developing cardiovascular disease increases. That is one. Two, as people age, their physical activity diminishes. That is two. So even if you do that study and you find out that yes, physical activity, you have concluded that physical activity has a relationship in developing cardiovascular disease, you might have run into a wrong conclusion. Why? You carried it among elderly people. Because now you don't know whether that cardiovascular diseases they developed was as a result of old age or was as a result of their physical inactivity that is associated with elder. So you can see, but when you understand research, and you can look into some of those things, then you can begin to make meaning. All right. So some of them can be very poorly designed. Favorable proportions. What are the anticipated knowledge gains or participant wellness improvement that outweighs any other thing? So if maybe you are going to do a study, whatever the participants, what the participants will gain will outweigh whatever type of losses or whatever type of thing you carried out, which means at the end of the day, they are gaining from the work. Then fairness in selecting people. I've taught this in, don't discriminate. Don't say these ones are Yoruba people, I won't touch them. These ones are Hausa people, I won't touch them. Or these people who live in this area are Igbo people, I won't touch them. There must be fairness. Otherwise, you skew your results. You will bias it. That's what we call a systematic error. Then, in recruitment, in order to avoid that, recruitment must be objective. You must put your protocol to know who will participate, who will not participate. Then, again, access equity. Those who are underrepresented groups must be given appropriate access to potentially life-saving trials. For instance, you can't say that these people, they are gay because our religion hates gay. Therefore, we have nothing to do with them. In fact, they should die. We were going to heaven. Science, we don't know that. Okay? So that is why, like in the medical parlance, everybody, for doctors, these are well and explicitly, clearly taught. So any doctor who's going to breach this, anything you see, you take. You won't say you were not taught. You were taught. Privacy, very important. There are certain research people are conducting that requires revelation about certain intimacies. People's privacy must be assured. That is why you will see in textbook or in journals, you see how they use one black thing to wipe out close somebody's eyes so that you cannot identify that individual. You can't be asking people questions and all that. You snap picture with them and they are all showing because they are village people, they are all laughing. And that is wrong. You must look for something to shield off their eyes or faces so that they are not easily recognized. Don't take advantage of their vulnerability because they are village people, they do not understand the implications of this, and you just put your photograph like that. No, it's wrong. It's ethically wrong. Okay, participants retain the right to control how their sensitive medical information is handled. In providing consent, you must tell them that it is very confidential and that no other person will have access to it. Somebody's medical record, for instance, is a very confidential record. Doctors are never permitted to disclose another person's medical record to another person. It's completely against medical ethics. It's against ethics, right? Except the person permits you to disclose. And such permission should even be in writing. Because as I said, it's not everyone that, there's ones that are beyond verbal. Then confidentiality. Researchers must use robust data management. That is why, or de-identification metrics. For instance, design a question and no name. You can use code, numbers, A1, A2, A3, like that. Use code. Or you must also state you are going to secure the data in a secure passworded server, passworded system. So for confidentiality, right? For confidentiality. Then another thing is falsifying or fabricating outcome research data is a very big breach of trust because it violates a lot of public safety. If you falsify data to want to try to show that you have done something great or something good, you can go to jail. So a lot of people falsify data, right? They escape, but everybody might not escape. Thank you. I'm done. If you have any questions, I think it's the time you can ask your questions. Then you can collect the slides I've sent. Okay. Okay. All right. So, Ejiro Gane, please. Oh, sorry. Let me. All right. You can unmute yourselves now.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Well, thank you too. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Because I see that a lot of people are saying thank you when you said questions. Okay, I want to ask. You said something about, okay, my name is Godwin Ehinomen. I wanted to ask, you said something about if, can you hear me?
Yes, I do. I can.
Okay, that falsifying data is wrong ethically. But what is the place of extrapolation in this research?
Extrapolation is not falsification. Extrapolation, right, is actually not falsification. Falsification, so you see these people, I don't know, how can people be behaving like this? If you extrapolate, extrapolation is not as good because extrapolation can also cause bias, but it's not a falsification. For instance, your sample size is low, right? And because the sample size is low, you extrapolate. When you extrapolate, you are giving a wrong sense of assurance. The results are not exactly the same when you extrapolate. It is not good, but it's not an outright say falsification of data. It is some form of will I say it's not a good practice. When some people are lazy, they just maybe you need 300 entries for your data. Then you collected 100 and you now multiply it by 3. Of course, the result you will get is not the same as if you went ahead to get 300. So that result is not as valid. Okay, so it's not a good practice. I do not encourage it. I rather say for every research, maybe another thing I did not tell you, you must spend money. You have to spend money. You need research assistance. So I don't know where. Okay, you can unmute yourself. I'm having a call back. All right, Jirogene, you are not talking. It's all right. Let's have Joy Onyinyechi.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the lecture.
Thank
Sir,
you.
I need clarification on that fairness in participant selection.
Okay. What we are saying, you might be going to select people and the lot fell on somebody and the person appeared to be dirty and you don't want to say, this one, you know, and you jump that person, right?
Yes.
If maybe by jumping somebody who cannot comprehend, who has a cognitive deficiency, somebody who cannot maybe really understand because of some disadvantage, maybe mentally, that is understood. But mere looking at somebody because he's not well dressed, he look tattered, he's a poor person, and you ignore the person is not fair. It's ethically wrong.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I have another question. Just remaining one.
Okay.
On the tips in choosing topics. On the tips in choosing topics. What did you say about the what? You mentioned about who, what, where, when. Then the what? What did you say about the what?
The what?
Yes.
Yeah. You need to know exactly what you want. Right? You need to know exactly what you want. What is interesting about that topic that makes, you know, because I said that what makes it interesting will keep you motivated to carry out that job, that work. But if you are just doing it for doing sake, then say make we do and make a do am. When you think of going to work on itself, you are tired already because you are not well motivated. It doesn't arouse your interest.
Okay.
So that's what I have to say concerning that.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you.
Obaji Irene, Ezinwa.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll be asking my question under transparency, sir. You said participants must.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Okay, sir, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sir. I'm asking my question under transparency, where you said that participants must receive detailed timelines, procedures, and overviews, the non-side effect and placebo disclosures for the research. What about the time that we now do blinding under the RCTs? How should we be transparent to maybe the experimental group or the control group when we are doing blinding?
This is about, yes, whether you are going to do blinding, you are going to explain to the people. You are going to, at that time you are explaining to them, you have not distributed them into intervention group or control group. You are only explaining the benefits of this research and the demerits, any possible side effects. So at that time, if they want to participate, they will opt in, yes, I want to participate. Before you can now distribute them through a random method selection into different groups. You cannot hide it from them.
Okay.
If you hide it from them, it can attract litigation. Right? You cannot hide anything from them. Yes.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, please.
Good evening. I have a situation I would like you to throw light on. Some doctors wanted to carry out a research somewhere, and they just announced that they are doing
all these people who are making noise. Is it this thing they are doing? Is it good? At least this thing we are
Can you
learning.
just remove them if they are making noise? Please just remove them.
Can we mute our mic, please? Please.
Okay, Prof, if you can have an option before starting to unmute everybody, that I think that will really help, because some people are really not, they are really distracting. We can't even hear you when you're making input. So if you can mute everybody, anybody that raises a hand, you unmute that person to speak. It will really help us.
All right, let's try that method. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I didn't quite recognize the person who was speaking. Can you put your this in? Let me get you put a chat box so that from your name I'll just put yes on the chat box so that I can unmute you based from your name. I'll know the person. The person who was speaking. This is what our own colleagues are causing me. It's something would have just. All right, let me just go one after the other. The person that wanted clarity, I said you should put yes on the chat box. So from when I open the chat box, I know from your name. Okay, Bian. All right. Okay. I now know. You can't. Sorry. It's like it's even gone. All right, let me begin to unmute others. Other people, because I can't. You can't. This one now made it more. Okay, let me just unmute people. Let me just unmute one after the other. Abioye Grace, I've unmuted you, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good
Thanks
evening.
for the lecture once again. Please, I want to ask, under the scientific validity, you spoke about the sample size, that we should make sure our dissertation, our project meets the sample size. I want to ask, what is the maximum or minimum sample size a good and standard MSc dissertation needs? The maximum and minimum, that is one. Then two, under voluntariness, you also spoke about we should not blindfold them with gifts ahead of the exercise. I remember during my undergraduate days, they insisted until I do the needful, they will not give me order. So I had to go ahead, because all I did was to no avail. So I had to go ahead to do what they wanted before they could attest to some of my questionnaires. So in such situation, is the rule really rigid, or based on situation we can just bend some rules just to have a way and get our needed results? Thank you, sir.
All right, let's start with your first. There is no maximum sample size, but there is a minimum sample size. There is no maximum sample size, but it's a minimum. In fact, sample size is called minimum sample size. That's the correct name. The correct nomenclature is minimum sample size. We just, in a short form, we'll call it sample size, but the real word is minimum sample size. And what that means that this is the minimum number of entries or minimum number of subjects or minimum number of individuals required for the results of that study to have statistical validity, to be valid. Now, the only way we determine that minimum sample size is by a formula. We impute certain variables in the formula and we determine it. We are also going to show you that. For descriptive studies, we use the prevalence rate. We use the prevalence rate of that particular attribute from the previous study. Impute it in the sample size formula. Make the computation. We arrive at the minimum sample size required for the study. We factor in non-response because at times, assuming the minimum sample size required is 200 persons, and you go to field with only 200 questionnaires, for instance, maybe 5 persons decided not to respond. Remember, it is voluntary. Now you have 195. Your results are not valid. Why? Your sample size say minimum is 200. And 195 is short of that 200. Minimum required is 200. If minimum required to buy a car is 200 million and you bring 195, will they sell it to you? The answer is no. They will not sell to you. Where is the 5 million? So that is, just look at it in that direction, you know. But the way it is done, if you understand statistics a little bit, it means that, okay, let me put it this way. Sample size, the whole idea of calculating a sample size. In fact, this is a question, don't carry me, they go where I no one go now, where I don't know. All right, the whole idea to calculate a sample size is that we don't have either sufficient time or sufficient resources in terms of finances, personnel, or everything to sample everybody. But if we collect a small number or a sample of this population, whatever we find in them will give us a result that will be similar to if we sample the entire population. I'll give you an example. Assuming we want to see the mean blood pressure of people in Rivers State. If we begin to measure the people in Rivers State one after the other, in the next 5 years, you have not finished measuring their blood pressure. In fact, 10 years itself, right? But it's okay. Let us take a sample and we scientifically collected that sample. And what we have collected is 400. And we say that if we measure the blood pressure of these 400 persons, any result we get from it will not be statistically significantly different from if we had measured the whole people in Rivers State. 1, it is less time consuming. 2, it is less expensive even to manage and the rest of them. It might not be exactly the same, but there will be no difference. For instance, the mean blood pressure we measured, if we measure the whole, will be maybe 28 over so. And when we use from the sample, we measure 26.7. And when we do a cross tabulation, we call it a 2x2 cross tabulation. We find out that there is no significant difference in the two. So it is more beneficial for us to use sample. So for that reason, the more the number we have, the better for us. Why? The more number we have, the more it's approaching the general population. The more the number we have, the more it's going higher, approaching the general population. You see? So if we have minimum sample size of 200 and we decided to use 2,000, all well and good, excellent. Excellent. But it should not go less than 200. That is it. Then your second question is about giving people money, maybe inducing them. In fact, that your study was biased. Why is it biased? It is biased. The type of bias is called subject desirability bias. That is, you had what we want you had what you want us to tell you. You see, because when you give people money, you have induced them. In fact, you have mobilized them. They will give you the right answers you want, and it has skewed their result. So that we call it subject. There are many types of bias. There's information bias, recall bias, and all that. But this is called subject desirability bias. You know, we told you what you wanted to hear because we collected something now. All right, thank you, Grace. Let's see. San Ofem Okoro. I hope I've answered your question. Some of this thing is becoming proven. Oh my God, this thing is terrible. This method is not easy.
Okay.
This method is not. Please go on. Let me unmute Onye Solom too. I don't know what is.
My question is, for example, if you are carrying out a prospective studies, that is future studies, and your respondents have the right to quit out anytime, would that not affect the studies? And if it affects, what is the remedy to that situation? Then my second question is the minimum and the maximum word count for a master's thesis.
25,000, no maximum, minimum 25,000. If you write 100,000, you're on your own. It's not better than 25,000. They want 25.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so you are doing a prospective study or a longitudinal study, which means you are following people over time, right? As you're following them over time,
yes,
along the line, some people got tired and they say, I know they do again. What happens if you don't replace them? It will affect your sample size. So we replace. That is called attrition. We replace those people. If a male, 25 years old, decided to, I'm going to teach you, even like jumping gun now. You are jumping gun. These are things we are going to do when we are coming to this thing. Are you want me to teach you at once? No. Now, take for instance, we are looking at the effect of smoking status on lung diseases, smoking and lung diseases. And we have two groups of people. One group are smokers, the other group are non-smokers. Two groups of students. One group are smokers, the other ones are non-smokers. We are following them to see what happens to their lungs in 5 years. Among the group that are smokers, along the line, after 2 years, 3 years, one became born again. They smoke again. We are going to look for another smoker to put there. Because if we don't, we are affecting the study. So that is attrition. Attrition can happen in diverse ways. One can travel, relocate, japa. We have to replace. Okay? There are many ways. One can say, I'm tired. Every time people are coming to collect my blood, I beg, I'm not tired, bro. He has the right to leave. Yes, God. This, I'm going to mute all this, because it's giving me problem. It's giving me problem, I beg. I will mute. Please, Solomon, mute yourself. If they start making noise, then we quit.
Okay. Still, as the is body, then while describing the people, you are saying
your network is not good, though. I cannot hear you.
Can I speak? Okay.
Wait, one after the other, please. Let the person who was saying before, let's see whether we can hear him better. Onye Solom, go ahead.
Okay, sir, can you hear me?
It's better. Okay, go on.
Okay. Under just that it demands the fair, equitable of both body and benefit.
Please don't worry, I beg. No worry. I can't hear you. Maybe you type your question. Where's the next person, please? Type your question.
Hello.
I can't really hear you. Please.
Hello, Prof. Ibian.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
All right, Prof. Thank you. Some doctors want to carry out a research and created an impression that they were doing free hepatitis test screening and vaccination. And then people went there to for the screening and they also vaccinated them. And as they finished the vaccination, they now told them that so time you are coming back for the second dose, and so time you are coming back for the third dose, and when you are coming, you now have to pay. And only for people to realize that the first one was just for the study, but the other one you are now on your own. Whether you come or not, you are on your own. But they have collected their samples. Is that ethical?
No. It's unethical. It's unfortunate they have to do such. It's unethical. Once it is screening, if they have to pay, they should have been told from the word go, so the people will decide whether they will do it or not. That is not screening in the first place. Maybe, you see, that is why I see in our country many things. I don't know if such people are reported. If you know them, report them. They will be dealt with in the same measure they dealt with the people. I can assure you that one. Our tribunal is is very tough. It's tough. It doesn't look at people's face. Even if you are president, it's very tough because human life is involved. We don't joke with it. You can't be highly placed to do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, Prof. Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Sir, please, I
evening.
want to ask my question. My question is this, sir. Remember when we were discussing, we said we should not indict our supervisor, that we should be accountable for our mistake. I've seen some case.
Is that what I told you? That what I told you? Please, you don't misquote me. I told you not to invite us. What is that? What I told you? That you should not invite us.
And that is the one that gave us the topic. Probably is the one that asked us to do certain things. That's why there is mistake in the work. That we should be accountable for whatsoever thing that come out of our research.
Yes.
My question is this time. I've seen a situation whereby you want to do your research in a particular way which you know is correct. But the professor will insist that you must do it this way. At the end, during your
How
defense.
do you know it's correct? How do you know it's correct?
Let me finish now. Probably during your defense, the panel will tell you that everything you've done is not correct. You find that what you wanted to do initially was the right thing, but the supervisor was the one who imposed his own idea and knowledge on you.
You are better than your supervisor.
Honestly, my
No,
brother.
it's not like that.
Yeah, you said
Yeah,
it's
it's not like
correct. How
that.
do you know it's correct?
Abi.
How do you know it's correct? How do you know it's correct?
Okay.
You cannot say it's correct.
Yes.
See,
Allow
yes.
her to finish what's saying now. Prof will take it from there. Let's not make
You
it rowdy.
don't allow me
Please.
to finish.
Allow her to
Sir,
finish.
what
Prof will
I
take
have
it there.
taken from personal experience, sir. Probably you want to use a particular sample size. You want to use a particular study
Okay, tell me,
analysis.
okay, I want you to give me details. Tell me the right reason. Let me give a verdict. Give me the reason, the right sample size. What type of study and how did you calculate the sample size? Let me know.
What I'm telling you is for personal experience. Probably you want to, your professor wants you to do an experimental analysis now. Probably what you want to do is different. What you have in mind to do is different. Now, after following your supervisor's direction to the point of defense, the panel will not tell you that no, you're supposed to do it like this, you're supposed to be like this. In that case, what I understand from what you are trying to tell us, we should quiet and accept the correction. We should not try to indict our supervisor by saying that I wanted it to be like this. So it was my supervisor that said I should follow this pattern. That's just what I learned from what you say. We should be accountable. We don't want to indict our supervisor, like bringing him down.
You can't indict your supervisor. Let me tell you why. You can't indict your supervisor. You have the opportunity, you have the option to reject whatever you think is not right your supervisor offers to you. You have, that is the verdict. That's what those people will tell you. The supervisor has not forced it down your throat. You understand? You have an option.
We are learning, sir. We are learning.
Oh, this thing is becoming rowdy now. I will walk away. Look, I was tired from work to come and do. If it's going to be rowdy, I will just quietly exit. Let us do it orderly so that we understand each other. Before I sleep how many hours, it's ready to go to work again tomorrow morning. I'll start systematic review. I beg. Let's understand each other briefly. See, if your supervisor asks you and you feel otherwise, it can be discussed with your supervisor. You can say, okay, you asked me to do this, but this is how I feel about it. Then it provides opportunity for your supervisor to explain to you why he or she wants it that way. But when you don't say anything, then when it gets to defense, you can't indict your supervisor. First and foremost, the work belongs to you, not your supervisor. Your supervisor has no mark. It is you that needs the degrees, not your supervisor. Right? So please just know
Thank
that.
you very much, sir.
You can reject suggestion of your supervisor. You have rights. You have the autonomy to reject. Somebody talked about
thank you very much.
okay, it's all right. Thank you. Somebody said something about what do you call it now? What count? We talked about what count. I'm just trying to look at some of the messages I saw in the DC. Let me just. Can right of respect for autonomy be applied in an emergency condition? Remember, I told you, even in emergency condition, if there is always a significant order, somebody, assuming the person is not conscious and the person is rushed under emergency condition, the person can be, the people who brought the person can stand in and answer for the person. But even at that, I also said that in terms of the consent, there are grades. Emergency condition, and you want to do surgery under emergency, no matter how you intend to save that person's life, there must be consent. You are advised in your best interest. Otherwise, there must be written consent. Written consent. The person must sign. Go ahead and do the surgery. Then you go ahead and do it. So that's how it is. Somebody said, there's another question. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll and see if there's other questions in the chat box. Okay, under justice, you talked about equity distribution and you said it's giving equal rights to participants. But we learned that equity is placing people according to their need. Now, when you are doing research, how do you place people according to their need when you are doing research? When you are doing research, how do you place people according to their need? Right? So now, you are trying to ensure that everybody has made contribution through their response. That is what I'm referring to. So just imagine how you are going to put into practice the grammar you have spoken. Put it into practice. How will it be? All right. Let's get other response, other listening. Mary Mosu. Then after the Kehinde, Mary Mosu, are you there? Kehinde. Okuru by God's power. Okay. Obara Lillian.
Okay, Prof, thank you so much for the lecture, sir. My question is still based on what you answered the last lady that just asked question.
Who's that one again? Now we will go today. Please, it's
Yes,
8
sir. Yes,
o'clock.
sir. It's just a very brief question, sir. Please, I want to ask, in a situation where she rejects the supervisor's suggestion, would that not affect her score? And then what of situation whereby the supervisor is not flexible enough or kind enough to give opportunity to express herself? What can someone do in that situation, sir?
Keep quiet. If you are not given right to express yourself, keep quiet. You can't.
Okay, sir.
Yes, just keep quiet. Because you talk yourself into more trouble. They have the life, they have the yam. What do you want to talk? They'll just give you veto mark there.
Okay, sir.
You are before a judge. He has his pen. You want to argue. Now anything you see, you take.
All right,
when
sir.
when you are defending and they ask you this, you see that the best person, it is noted, sir. It is noted. Sir. I've taken note. You have to show. But you want to prove I know too much. In fact, you'll be sliced. And that's, he has the knife, he has the yam.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's how it works. If I've asked you, have answered, please bring down your hand so that I know those who are left. Sophia Duke.
Okay, sir, thank you very much for the lecture. My question is on the hierarchy of research evidence. When you were talking about it, you said randomized control trial is the gold standard. But on the slide, systematic review and meta-analysis are above randomized control trial. I want you to comment on that.
Okay. All right. Systematic review and meta-analysis is a review of what people have done. It's not an original research. It is a review. is a literature review. Do you understand? You are reviewing literature of the various work people have done, right? So they have done, some are done in China, some are done in Vietnam, some are done in America, some are done in Brazil and other diverse settings. Okay, diverse settings, most times even using different methods. So you're looking at the literature and seeing what they have done. So it is not an original research. Maybe at times in carrying out such studies, also you have to be very careful because some of those studies, though it has a procedure, we are going to teach you systematic review when we go into, it has a procedure to include and exclude studies that have issues. Then you try, if you are now going to do meta-analysis, try to reanalyze this thing. No, it's not higher because it's not an original research. One of the reasons why it's considered relevant is that, that saying that from this thing of multiple sources, a thing is established, something like that. As a saying, either biblical or what, from the either witness or from multiple sources. Because one is done in Congo, one is done in you are not trying to reanalyze it to synthesize evidence. Okay, it's not an original research that follows a strict protocol. Okay, so that is why we see that randomized controlled trials, the experimental, systematic reviews can come from qualitative studies. It can come from descriptive studies, cross-sectional studies. Those ones are weak in terms of evidence. But randomized controlled trials are very strong. They are experiment. It's an experiment. Randomized control trial, they are experiment. And because they are experiment, it makes it strong. There is blinding, double blinding, triple blinding is very strong compared to a systematic review populated by descriptive studies and purposive sample, qualitative studies that have no relevance. Just because people did it, you gathered it and reanalyze it. No, it's not. Thank you. Kehinde, your hand is still raised forever when you are not answering anything. Unmute yourself and talk, or bring down your hand.
Good evening, Prof.
Good evening.
Thank you, sir, for the lecture. I just want to ask for a clarification that in this MPH dissertation or the project, it's
Yes.
retrospective study allowed.
It depends. Yes, it is. It is. If you are going to do a study, a retrospective review of records, assuming, you look at a trend. Maybe you want to see in the past 5 years, how has been the HIV? What has been the incidence? Has it been dropping? Is it been rising? Is it been stable? It's retrospective. You are looking the last 5 years till now. So it is allowed. But remember, in some of them, I say, make sure the records are there. Not when you go in the middle, you go say, oh, all the folders you want to use are empty. Then you run back. You must ascertain that the source of the data is available.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Ukuruba. God's power. Go on now. Your hand is raised. Hello, God's power. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Hello, sir.
Good evening. See you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So I asked a question in the chat box. It has not been attended to.
Sorry?
I said I asked a question on the chat box that has not been attended to. I don't know if I can ask it here.
Ask now. What is the question?
Okay, the question is,
okay, is it if an NGO decided to conduct anything?
No, not
this one now.
The question is, if since participants have the right to quit anytime,
yes,
then what about does the researcher also have the right to remove any participant that is not following his directives?
Yes. If participants have the right to quit anytime.
Yes. Does the researcher also have the right to remove any participant that is not following his directives?
See the way we do it. We don't remove the participant that is not following directive. What we do is you collect the person's results, but don't analyze it. You screen it out. There is something they call cleaning. You clean it out because you know from the word go that it is not good. But you don't want to make the person feel bad, right? Because it's not fully directed. It might not be intentional. It might be the person's capacity to comprehend. So in such cases, apart from that, take for instance, you have a protocol to measure blood pressure in households, in communities. And you know that by your design, you want to avoid that each household, because you want a spread. You want a spread in order to have a central value. So you've decided that from each household, you are going to measure the blood pressure of one person. And you go to a household, maybe the blood pressure you are measuring is the head of household. And you go to the head of household. Somebody who is part of that household, I only own, I go measure, I measure my own, I measure, and started protest that you measure your own. Please measure it, but don't include the result, so that you do not destroy your protocol or bias your protocol. You measure it and put it aside. You have pleased the person that you measured it. You see, why we do that in research is that we don't know the next researcher that will come to do something in that area again, and the person will face a backlash because the previous one that came did something. So that's how you do it, right?
Thank you, sir.
Somebody say I said beneficence, you do something that will benefit the people, and non-maleficence, you don't do anything that will hurt them, that will endanger their life. That's the difference. I've sent you slides. You have to read it. I also sent you books. I have sent you books before. But if you want more, I will send you. I will look at, I have collection. I will send you.
Non-malfeasance.
Non-malfeasance. Malfeasance. Non-malfeasance. Do no harm. Whatever you are doing, ensure you don't harm the person. All right. Thank you very much for the active participation. It's very nice. So I'll see you next time. Yes, thank you. I'll see you next time. I don't know. I'll check my timetable. Next time. All right.
What time are we meeting tomorrow?
All right, thank you, bro.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.